Yep.
Okay, so welcome. Today we're going to be talking about how to make the most out of your YALSA membership and get involved with YALSA. And we are your hosts. I'm Kate McNair. I'm the Teen Services Coordinating Librarian for the Johnson County Library in the Kansas City metro area. And I will let my illustrious co-host introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Jack Martin. I am the Executive Director of the Providence Public Library in Providence, Rhode Island. But it's even cooler that I can say I'm actually a YALSA past president. So you're in good hands.
One of our most colorful YALSA past presidents.
Oh, I don't know. I think you're pretty colorful too. So
that's true. That's true. If you count hair color.
Exactly.
So we're going to be chatting today. So attendees, if you have any questions as you hear us talk about stuff, feel free to put any questions in the chat box or use a mic or a video and talk to us. We're going to go through some of the different perks that you get as a member and all the great ways that you can get involved and make the most out of your membership. So let's talk first about member perks. Jack, what is your favorite YALSA member perk?
My favorite member perk, out of all of those on the list, I would actually say I love that YALSA kind of tends to go where I am, and this is not on the list, but I love the YALSA Twitter feed because everything that is happening in YALSA to like the instant comes out over Twitter. However, because I'm a member, I also like to see those things, pieces of information in digestible formats. So I would say that the weekly YALSA e-news is a great way for members to catch up on what's been happening in YALSA if you miss it on Twitter. There you go.
I also love the e-news. That's like a regular every Wednesday. I go to my inbox and I look for that because I know it's going to give me all the most important things that I need to know that week. And I always learn something new, which is really awesome. I also really love all of YALSA's webinars, which are free to YALSA members. And Linda Braun, who's our continuing education consultant, has done an excellent job over the past 6 months curating an amazing collection of webinars. I just attended a series of 3 that were all about arts integration programming with creative teens, which I work on our literary magazine. So that was all really pertinent to my job. It also helped me look at what grants that we can apply for and be prepared for in the future. There's a couple really cool ones that are coming up in October and November. We're talking about creativity and leadership, and then also about youth and adult partnerships that enhance youth voices, which is another thing that I'm really passionate about. So I love it that they are like reading my mind and creating the webinars that I need. I'm also a big YALS reader, so I really like reading up on stuff, and YALS is one of my favorite publications. It's got great ideas that you can borrow or steal and replicate at your library, and lots of great resources for everything that I do in my work day to day.
Can I also jump on the YALS bandwagon? Because
yeah.
I think it's not only awesome because it has great content for you to digest and steal and practice, but it's also a great opportunity for you to get published. So like my folks from my library staff were just published in the last episode of YALS. So that was a great opportunity for them to, again, write a great article and get it discovered by the greater YALSA populace. So I like YALS for 2 reasons.
Well, we'll talk about a couple of the other member perks as we go through stuff too, but one of the great things about being a YALSA member is the network of people that you get to be connected to in YALSA. So Jack, do you have any particularly great memories or people that you've been connected to through YALSA that you want to share?
I would say that I think my favorite YALSA network story is probably when I was part of a YALSA pre-conference way back in Boston, like 3 or 4 midwinter Bostons ago. And I was in the pre-conference, and the pre-conference was awesome unto itself, but what was really great were the people that I met in that pre-conference and all the years that I've actually had the opportunity to be friends with those folks. So I have sort of a face-to-face network beginning that kind of now, we're still Facebook friends like 10 or 15 years later. It's been great, and we stay in touch, and we still share ideas, and we actually still sometimes meet at conference and brainstorm and catch up. How about you?
Well, actually, my favorite YALSA networking memory has to do with a person who's in this picture, Shannon Peterson, who's also a past president.
Oh, yes.
I served virtually on a committee with her long, long ago. And so I got to know her through that. And then we just kind of always kept in touch. And then about 2 years ago, we were chatting about something. And she mentioned that they had been using this new program called YPQA to evaluate their teen volunteer program. And I was like, oh, we need to evaluate and improve our teen volunteer program. We have the capacity to be so amazing. And so she sat down for a conference call with me and we chatted about it. And I have since stolen all of her great ideas and we're implementing them over the last 2 years at our library, and they've been phenomenal. And that's just like one of the ways that A, Shannon is amazing, and B, that you meet people through YALSA that have awesome ideas that you can borrow and adapt and bring to your library and you can share with them. And it's just a really great place to meet people who are doing kind of the same job.
I would agree upon Shannon Peterson's amazingness. So yes, she and I both met when she was she was president-elect when I was president. So she is indeed awesome. So I can definitely account for that as well.
Yeah, so you got to work really closely with her.
Yes.
I love stealing ideas from really smart people. So the also listservs are another great way to do that, as well as the
Absolutely.
programming HQ. People put all of their best ideas on there. And whenever I'm like racking my brain for something to do with a teen advisory group or in our detention center, I can always find something that I can borrow and adapt or replicate at our library.
I would also add that I have had a really good time when I was in New York City when Linda Braun, another YALSA past president, was my next door neighbor, and we actually had a YALSA happy hour at a local bar for some folks, and it was pretty darn terrific. It also doubled as a fundraiser, but for YALSA, but it was also just a really great way to connect with local YALSA members, have a few beverages, and just get together and hang out. So again, fun face-to-face time.
Yeah, we're actually planning a YALSA meetup in Kansas City in November, and I'm super excited to meet local YALSA members or people who are working with teens that are interested in knowing more about YALSA. It will not be an establishment that serves drinks, but we will be doing some 3D printing, so hopefully that is just as fun. You could 3D print your next martini glass, maybe.
Hey, that's a great idea.
That's
Working
the
on a shot
next
glass.
YALSA meetup plan.
Right. I like it. I like it.
And there's a great online tool too if you're interested in getting together with YALSA members. There's a PDF online on the YALSA website that can give you all the resources that you need to plan a meetup in your area, and YALSA will help connect you with members from your neighborhood if they don't happen to live next door to you, like you're so lucky to have lived next door to Linda.
I know, right? She's a great cat sitter.
Well, you already talked a little bit about getting noticed by being published in YALS, but another great thing about your YALSA membership is spotlighting what you or your colleagues are working on.
Exactly. And I would say that I think that there is so YALSA has, they give away tens of thousands of dollars in grants and scholarships. And I think it's safe to say that not a lot of people know about this. It's kind of like YALSA's best kept secret.
Yeah.
So if you are interested and you need help financially with getting to a conference or going to the YALSA symposium and you apply, there's probably a pretty good chance that you'll get that, that you might get that scholarship. So again, I think that's one of YALSA's best kept secrets, that we actually have money to give away to members so that you can go to conference or lead an excellent program, all those good things.
And you might think that you have to be an experienced YALSA member and have done lots of stuff in YALSA to apply for these things, but you can be a brand new member. You can have signed up this month and you can apply between now and December 31st for some of those travel stipends and grants and awards, which is a really great thing. There's travel stipends for new librarians, and the board is currently working on proposals to expand that to more mid-career librarians as well. So definitely go and check those out. And all of those like program awards are another great place to steal ideas, because that's apparently my favorite thing to do, because I'm going to talk about that a lot today. Because people are doing really awesome stuff.
Exactly. I have to say on this slide, because I was going to ask like Kate at the end of this session, like what her favorite thing about getting involved in YALSA is. I would say that one of my favorite things to do with YALSA is staffing the YALSA booth.
It's so much fun.
It's so much fun because you are, and I always do it with Chris Shoemaker, another YALSA past president, and I love it. You get to meet so many people who are already, you know, friends or are already part of the YALSA community, or people who are just curious. Or you can also just kind of shout out to random people who are passing you by and said, hey, you want to hear about YALSA? You can give me your elevator pitch. But it's really a great way to meet new folks who are either, like I said, involved in YALSA or are curious about getting started. So that's one of my favorite things to do for YALSA.
And you meet such a wide variety of people too. I love staffing the YALSA booth at conferences because people always come by because we're always so colorful. All of our flyers are out and we've got resources on such a variety of topics that just about anybody who comes to the booth is going to find something that's useful that they can take away with them. And so I meet people who are retired librarians who just love the work that we do and they want to come and give us a high five. I meet like academic librarians who are curious about how are we serving our high schoolers and our middle schoolers before they even make it to college, and how can they help inform that process. And we meet practicing librarians in public and school libraries, people in specialty libraries that are interested in working with teens. It's awesome. It's the most fun ever. And if you're interested in hosting a YALSA booth at one of your state or local conferences, you can also contact YALSA and we've got booth materials available for you.
Seriously, a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. You can also write or create for YALSA. I've been a YALSA blogger. I was a YALSA blogger when I first got involved with YALSA. It was a pretty easy way to get involved. The standards right now are that you blog once a month for 6 months, and that's the kind of time commitment you are agreeing to when you first start blogging. And that's such an easy way to get in because that's so small. That's just a little bit of your time once a month. It gets you involved in YALSA, it gets you learning a little bit about things, and then you can start interviewing people and finding out what other people are doing. And it's a great way to dip your toe in and find out what kind of stuff you want to get involved with YALSA in. Have you written for any of the YALSA publications, Jack?
I have, I know that I've written for the blog on multiple occasions, especially when I was president. I have also published in YALS on occasion. And I've actually published a book with YALSA. So yes to a lot of those things. And I think I've actually done a toolkit, or I was part of a toolkit at some point. So yeah, it's great. I was gonna just say, we know that there are a lot of YALSA members who are really excited about teen literature. And the floodgates are open at the Hub. I know that the Hub is the place to read about teen literature, to talk about teen literature, to talk about what you think is the best things that are happening in teen literature. So, and I know they're always also looking for new bloggers. So that is a great place to talk about teen lit and get your voice heard and get published. So that's another, there's the blog and there's also the Hub.
And that's a nice segue into our next slide, which is all about evaluating material. Because
exactly.
One of my favorite things about the Hub, because I do read a lot of teen lit, but I gotta tell you, I'm not like the evaluatory master when it comes to teen literature. But one thing that I do love that the Hub does that I feel like is right in my wheelhouse is evaluating a lot of other materials as well. So they're evaluating apps, they're evaluating podcasts and multimedia. There's so much content that goes on to the Hub. And so there's a lot of places where you can find your niche and get involved through that. But if evaluating materials is definitely in your wheelhouse, there's lots of different ways that you can get involved, both virtually and in person. So we've been working really hard in YALSA to change how we do some of our selected lists. And so now there's lots of ways to get involved virtually. So you can be a Hub blogger that works on the amazing audiobooks or the quick picks for young adults list. And that work that used to require you to go to conference, which is kind of a time intensive and very expensive endeavor, is now something that you can do from home. So you can help people create these lists that help them make their selection choices and their collection choices from home.
And also, what I love about the fact that this is all online now is that those opportunities used to be limited to a very, very select number of people. They were very small committees. Now, like I said earlier, the floodgates are open and the opportunities are limitless. So there's definitely it's more open, and there's the arena for opportunity is definitely wider.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited about that.
if you are a person who's able to travel to conference, there's still those face-to-face opportunities that we all love, like serving on the Alex or the Morris, which are both for adult books or for debut authors, the nonfiction award list, and the Odyssey, which is for nonfiction and for audiobooks. And then, of course, the illustrious Prince Award. Also, we are always seeking members for those as well. So you can apply. And again, those are things that any member can participate in. Even if you're a new member to YALSA and this is something that you want to get involved with, definitely submit an application. You can start blogging on the blog and start working on the hub and being part of those selected lists, and then eventually apply to be on part of one of the selections lists or the award lists as well. And there's learning opportunities, kind of like what we're doing right now. You could be us. This could be you. You could be in these boxes and presenting these webinars. So if you're an expert, if you have something to share, a great program idea, you could be facilitating a webinar or managing a panel of folks who are talking about programs that they've done. We have YALSA snack breaks on YouTube, which is awesome. You can watch them. They're generally like maybe 10 minutes long, so you can watch them over, you know, a quick break in the afternoon, or I like to watch them over my lunch and just catch up on what other people are doing. And then there's also mentoring, which I was a mentee when I first got involved with YALSA. And I loved that. I got connected with a librarian in California, and every month we would get kind of chat topics given to us, and we'd email each other back and forth and talk about it. She has much more, she had much more experience and had been in her job a lot longer. And so it was a great opportunity for me as a new member to connect with someone.
And I would say that I believe I've done a webinar before, but most of my my expertise in this area, I've been presenting at conferences, symposiums. So like last year in Pittsburgh, we talked about learning in libraries at the YALSA Symposium. So that's always, again, another great place to learn and hear about cool things that are happening in the world of teen services, but again, also get an opportunity to share and talk about what you are doing. There is an application process, but again, they're usually very generous. And again, it's a great place to sort of show off what you have been doing in the world of teen services.
And you can also invite experts from YALSA to your community to host a YALSA Institute. So YALSA will find experts in your area to teach on a variety of topics. We have approved curriculum that you can find online. So if you work in a state that's looking for more development opportunities and for YALSA to come in and facilitate a workshop, definitely check out those YALSA Institutes. And then as the chair of the advocacy committee, advocating and supporting other librarians is a big part of what YALSA does. So you can get involved by joining one of our advisory boards, our juries, our committees and task forces. You can also participate in the YALSA election, which we'll be having in March of this year. So we've got a little bit. And then there's also National Library Legislative Day, and that takes place in May. And that's our opportunity to talk to the legislators in Washington, D.C. and also in your home states too, and talk about what's important with teens and libraries and supporting our funding and free speech. And net neutrality has been a big issue lately.
And I would also add to that there are a couple of slides back where we said that YALSA has all these scholarships that not a lot of people apply for. Every year, YALSA has scholarships to send members to National Library Legislative Day. And I go with Rhode Island every year, but I love meeting the YALSA delegates that are there and talking to them about what's happening in their states. And people can sometimes be a little nervous about what happens at Library Legislative Day, but really it's about you sitting down and talking to your representatives and just telling your stories, telling them things about what's happening in your libraries. And that's, and it's super easy, and it's a super easy way of advocating for what you do for teens every day in your library. So I love National Library Legislative Day.
And National Library Legislative Day representatives are given some training about before they go in to meet with their legislators. So you're given the tools that you need to go into that meeting. And if you're not able to make it to DC or participate in that, one great way that you can also advocate to legislators and state representatives is through district days. So that's YALSA's initiative to ask those representatives back into the library. So connect with them when they're in their home district, when they're nearby you. Go and visit them, advocate there for teens. YALSA's got lots of tools that you can take with you, including infographics and talking points. But you can also invite them to the library. Some of the most powerful stories I've heard are just people who say, you want to host a town hall while you're here in town? Do it at the library, and let's schedule it here so that you're in our space. You can see our patrons. Our patrons get access to you, but you can also see all the great things that the library does. We invited a couple of years ago our state representatives to come at the end of summer reading, because they're generally on break in August through like Labor Day-ish. And so they came and actually gave out like the little, signed the certificates for kids who had finished summer reading, and gave those out, and they handed out teen prizes, and then they drew the final prizes for the teen program. And that was really fun because they got to see all, this big jar of names of all the teens who had participated. So they got to see the true impact of what we've been doing all summer long through summer reading.
And I would say, just to echo what Kate was saying, like district days, it might sound really hard to call up your state representatives and invite them to the library, but they want you to do that. They want to be seen in public libraries. They want to be seen handing out certificates at your summer reading clubs. They want to talk to your to all the learners in the libraries. So that's actually a pretty easy thing to do. And she's right. YALSA does have a lot of great materials for you to share with them. So I totally echo all of your excellent sentiments on that topic.
And there's also leadership opportunities through YALSA. I know when I was a new librarian in my position, YALSA is one of the places that I learned to lead by both participating in committees and then being selected to be a chair for a committee. It taught me skills like managing teams that are spread out across the country. So managing virtual teams. I got a lot of time to practice perfecting like my email communication. So I really cherish those opportunities that I've had both to serve on committees and to chair committees as well. What, besides being president, Jack, has been your favorite leadership opportunity through YALSA?
I think just being on the board. I loved being on the board. I loved the big picture thinking. I loved having the opportunity to get out of my own my own small public library world and thinking broadly about teen services and what a national association can do to move teen services and libraries forward and all the issues that are affecting it. I loved being on the board, and I actually miss being on the board. It's great. I miss those big meaty conversations.
Well, luckily, Jack, all board meetings are open at any conference. You can come and just sit there with us the whole time. We would love to have you.
Well, I think I did drop in on the last, I think it was in Atlanta when they were doing strategic planning, but yeah, it's terrific. And you're totally right. The board meetings are always open. They welcome guests. There's always an opportunity in the discussion at some point for guests to share an opinion or to share information. So that's really terrific. I also wanted to point out for folks who might be a little, they might feel that they're not ready to join the board, but they're curious. The board fellowship opportunity is really terrific. That's a 1-year ex officio position on the board. There is an application process, and I believe you also get a scholarship to attend conference. And from what I've learned from board fellows who were serving the board at the time when I was on the board, they really loved the chance to just be part of that whole process of big picture thinking and contributing to something that big. So that's a really great, easy grab for folks who are just want to get a little taste of what it's like to be on the board. You don't have to commit for 3 years.
And we're currently accepting applications for the next board fellow. So now is the time to get involved.
Exactly.
Oh, I think that's the end of our presentation.
Wow. So is this where we say, like, are there like I don't know if Kelsey has questions, or, I don't know. I feel like we've covered most of what I have been thinking about for this presentation, but are there other just sort of missing pieces that we haven't shared? I told you my favorite thing about participating in YALSA was going and serving in the YALSA booth. What's your favorite thing?
I think one of my favorite things about serving in YALSA has just been the leadership opportunities that I've been given. So when I started in my position here, which I'm coming up on my 10th anniversary, which is making me feel a little
Wow,
old.
congratulations.
I was still really wet behind the ears. I had worked mostly in small libraries in Iowa and didn't have a ton of experience. And working with YALSA gave me the opportunity to pick up some of the skills that I probably would not have had at my library here, or definitely help me accelerate my learning, that helped me facilitate programs at my library. I'm a coordinator across multiple libraries. We have 13 libraries in our system. And so there is a lot of kind of distance communication that happens. And those were skills that I picked up through YALSA. Also, connections that I've made through YALSA I've been able to pull in programs and partners. Very early on in my career, we partnered with the Charlotte Mecklenburg
Oh,
Public
that's great.
Library for some programs, and that was through connections through YALSA. And so as I go back and I look at it, as I was looking at my 10-year history through YALSA, every single experience that I've had, I've been able to bring something home to my library that benefits my library, or furthers my own professional development. Whether or not it was, something explicit like going to a conference or going to a webinar, I
Right.
learn something every single time I get involved in YALSA. And that's something that I just really love.
I
And
would,
meeting all the colorful people.
hello. No, I'm the same way. I actually tell people that I think the reason I have my current job is because I was YALSA president, because I did not have those bullets for my resume under my current job, in my past job. But being YALSA president, it was really an opportunity to serve at a totally different executive level. And
Mhm.
all the experience that I gained as YALSA president and also on the board, quite frankly, I think that's really positioned me to where I am today in my career. So I love YALSA for that. So I think that's the ends of the formal speaking part. I don't know, Beth, you can press the stop button, or we can keep going, or if Kelsey has other questions, we can
Oh,
keep on
Kelsey
going.
wants to know any advice about attending symposium. So I got to say, the symposium is like my favorite event that happens every year now. I'm so glad that it's every year. And one of my favorite things about it, especially if you've ever attended ALA, which just has it's just chock-a-block full of people. There's too many people to keep track of. The one thing that I love about the YALSA Symposium is that it's you and like your 500 best friends who all are passionate about serving teens. And so you run into kind of the same people as you go throughout the day, and you begin to find like themes that you pick out. And so it's really, for me, it's a lot about networking. It's about finding other people who are doing some similar things or something really awesome that I want to take back to my library. And every time I leave that conference, like completely enthusiastic and energized and ready to hit the ground running.
I totally agree. And I actually think I love the symposium because I see all those people every year that I know. But what's great about the symposium is that it's more affordable than, like ALA annual or ALA midwinter. And it's also a lot more local. So it's in smaller towns and smaller cities. And what's really great is I love meeting YALSA members or YALSA potential members from these smaller cities who would never, ever, ever be able to come to conference before. And I love hearing their ideas and hearing about their experiences. And I get to meet a different set of people than you would normally meet at conference. And it's easy to meet them because, like Kate says, you're in a space with like 500 of your best friends. You're all there for like-minded reasons. So it's really easy to meet people and connect with people. So you
Mhm.
can see your friends that you have known for years, but then you can always meet some new folks who you might not have thought about before.
And I'm super excited. There's a author lunch on Saturday this year that looks really good. And then, as always, the book blitz in the evening is both fun and an exercise in contact sports sometimes.
Awesome. I think we gave a really good answer to that, apparently. So thanks, Yelsey. Any other questions? Cool. Well, I would say,
Jack,
yep.
I was going to say before we stop recording, I would just say for anybody who is watching or listening and who's not a member, that a one-year membership in YALSA and ALA combined starts at $63 per year. And then I encourage people to contact Letitia Smith to see what discount categories that they're qualified for. And if you just start at the YALSA homepage and click the Contact Us button, Letitia's phone number and email are right there.
And I would say that Letitia is amazing and that everybody should get to know her because she has all the answers. So good advice.
It's so true.
It's definitely true. Great. Well, Kate, this has been a lot of fun chatting with you. It's been great hearing feedback from Kelsey, and I can't wait to hear from the wider world when this goes out onto the interwebs.
Yes.
What people think. So yeah, it's great.
Well, thanks, Jack, and thanks, Beth.
Thanks.
Do you two want to share your email or Twitter handle for anybody who's listening to the recording or watching it who might want to follow up with you with a question?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Does the chat get recorded?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
So
well, go Jack.
Okay, I'm at Jackson Devious on Twitter, and I'm jack@provlib.org on for email.
And I am K8 McNair because my parents were very forward thinking and they gave me a name that can be spelled with a number, and on Twitter. And then my email address is katepmcnair@gmail.com.
Cool.
Thank you, guys. I'm going to stop recording.